They called him overrated. Not the fans, not the media, but NBA players themselves. In an anonymous poll, Tyrese Haliburton was voted the most overrated player in the league. No context, no mercy, just a cold label slapped on the face of a rising star. And as that news made the rounds, the whispers turned into chants, echoing from the stands in Cleveland. But here's the twist. While the internet laughed and the pressure mounted, Haliburton didn't fold. He flipped the script, game by game, play by play. What he's done since that moment has not only silenced the noise, it's forced the entire league to take a second look. Because what happens when the most overrated player becomes the most dangerous in the playoffs? You see, this wasn't just a few boos from the nosebleeds. This was reputation damage, coming from inside the league. The Athletics 2024 player poll, filled out anonymously by active NBA players, didn't just throw shade, it practically spotlighted Haliburton as the guy getting more credit than he deserves. That's brutal, especially for a player who had just signed a $200 million contract, was named an all-star starter, and led the league in assists for most of the season. This wasn't some fringe opinion on Twitter. This was a verdict handed down by his peers, people who've played against him, studied his game, and in many cases lost to him. And yet, despite being a two-time all-star, one of the league's most efficient playmakers, and the leader of a surging Indiana Pacers team, he was being dismissed, labeled, questioned, and it didn't stop with the poll. What came next was something only a handful of players in the league could deliver, and it flipped the narrative upside down. How exactly did he silence the noise? Let's take it game by game. And then came the playoffs. This was supposed to be the moment where all that overrated talk caught up to him. First round matchup, Damian Lillard and Giannis. Then came Donovan Mitchell. And now, the Mecca, Madison Square Garden. Each series brought louder critics, tougher matchups, and higher stakes. This wasn't just a test of skill. It was a full-blown referendum on who Tyrese Haliburton really is. And what followed flipped the narrative on its head, because when the lights got brighter, Haliburton got colder. Not emotionally, strategically. What came next wasn't just redemption. It was a transformation, the kind that forces even the loudest critics to hit pause and rethink everything they thought they knew. Haliburton didn't survive the pressure. He thrived in it. So let's walk through this playoff run, not just to talk stats, but to uncover how Tyrese Haliburton turned from a so-called media creation into one of the most feared and respected playmakers in the NBA. The first round was supposed to be Milwaukee's return to dominance. Giannis was back. Dame was hungry. This wasn't a rebuild. This was a revenge tour. And Indiana, they were just supposed to be the warm-up act, the tune-up, the easy out. But Tyrese Haliburton had other plans. The Pacers didn't just beat the Bucks. They cracked them. And they did it in 5 games. Game 5 in particular, that was the night Haliburton completed the transformation from pass-first guard to playoff conductor. The moment was massive. Elimination game, overtime, on the road. And Haliburton, he didn't panic. He plotted. He dropped 17 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. And the most important number of all, 0 turnovers. Let that sink in. In a must-win game for Milwaukee, with Damian Lillard and Giannis on the floor, Haliburton was the calmest man in the building. A 119-118 OT win. Sealed with execution, not ego. And no, he didn't drop 40. He didn't have to, because every pick and roll was a calculated strike. When Milwaukee sent help, he slipped a bounce pass between 2 defenders for a layup. When they switched, he stepped back and hit from mid-range with that sky-high release. When they dropped, he floated it in like it was practice. The Bucks tried everything. Trap, drop, show and recover. Didn't matter. According to Synergy, Haliburton posted the highest pick-and-roll efficiency of any player in the entire 2024 postseason during that series. Yes, higher than Jalen Brunson, higher than Jamal Murray. And the best part? He wasn't chasing stats. He was solving problems. Every single trip down the floor. This wasn't about flair. It was about feel, control, poise. Haliburton didn't just outplay Milwaukee's backcourt. He managed the entire game like a seasoned vet, calling audibles, reading the floor, guiding his teammates into space. That's not luck. That's leadership. And in a playoff series filled with stars and former champions, it was Haliburton, the so-called overrated kid, who came out with the last word. The Indiana Pacers entered the playoffs as underdogs, young, fast, unproven, and facing a battle-tested Cleveland Cavaliers team with defensive grit. But in Game 2, Haliburton made his intentions crystal clear. Cleveland's strategy was simple. Pressure him early, force him left, and trust their length to contain him in the half-court. Didn't work. That night, Haliburton dropped 34 points, dished 7 assists, and shot 13 of 19 from the floor, with a poise that stunned even the most seasoned analysts. He didn't force shots. He didn't over-dribble. He let the game come to him. and then picked it apart piece by piece. There was a sequence in the third quarter that summed it up. Cleveland tried to trap him on the wing, a hedge from Evan Mobley and a blitz from Darius Garland. In a split second, Haliburton slipped through the double, spun away from the baseline, and whipped a one-handed pass to the weak side corner. Swish. Buddy healed. Three-pointer. Crowd silenced. That wasn't luck. That was vision, timing, and geometry. And he did it all while running an offense that led the league in pace, yet still somehow made every possession feel deliberate. But it wasn't just about scoring or flashy passes. He controlled momentum. He slowed the game down when his team needed composure, and sped it up when Cleveland was gasping for breath. Indiana won that game and eventually the series, but more importantly, Haliburton sent a message. You can't rush him, you can't rattle him, and you sure as hell can't ignore him anymore. Then came New York, Madison Square Garden, the loudest building in basketball, a place that doesn't just test your game, it tests your soul. And for Tyrese Haliburton, the stakes were sky high. He wasn't just walking into an arena, he was walking into a narrative. Too nice, too flashy, not built for the moment. That's what the critics said, that's what the crowd believed. And in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, MSG let him hear it. The Knicks came out swinging. Jalen Brunson was cooking. Josh Hart was flying around like a man possessed. The Pacers fell behind by 17 in the fourth quarter. And the Garden? It was thunderous. The fans thought it was over. Even Spike Lee was halfway into his post-game routine. But Haliburton, he didn't panic, he didn't press, he executed. First, a quick hit sideline inbound that caught the Knicks sleeping, then a strip steal on a lazy swing pass, then bang, a no-look dime to Aaron Nesmith for three, and then the moment. Clock ticking, tie game, Donte DiVincenzo guarding tight, Haliburton steps back from 30 feet, launches, splash. It looked like the dagger, but the refs went to review, and it turns out his toe kissed the line. Just 2 points. Game tied. And yet, that shot did more than tie the score. It froze Madison Square Garden. In a full-circle moment of playoff poetry, Haliburton turned to the crowd and flashed the choke gesture, a nod to Reggie Miller. Same arena, same energy, same trolling excellence. Turns out Reggie was calling the game from the broadcast booth. And Haliburton, he was channeling that exact spirit. Overtime hit, and the Knicks were already cracked. Haliburton stayed steady. Nesmith stayed hot. The Pacers closed it out 138 to 135, a comeback for the ages. The Knicks became the first team in nearly 3 decades to blow a 14-plus point lead with under 250 left in a playoff game. Haliburton finished with 31 points, 11 assists, and a city in stunned silence. And in the postgame, no flexing, no barking, just Haliburton smiling. We just play our game. We don't get rattled. That's not arrogance. That's a calm, built-in chaos. That night, Haliburton didn't just win a game. He owned the moment. He flipped the narrative. And in the process, he made the Mecca feel like home court. Still not convinced? Let's look at the cold, hard numbers. Through the 2025 playoffs, Tyrese Haliburton has averaged 18.7 points per game, 9.5 assists per game, 33.8% from three-point range, leading the league in assists per game, ahead of even Luka Doncic. That's impressive. But it gets better. Advanced metrics tell the full story. According to The Ringer, his teammates are averaging a ridiculous 1.50 points per shot on his potential assists. He's not dominating the ball like a heliocentric superstar. He's just making every touch count. That's not overrated. That's elite-level orchestration. That's historic-level efficiency. So, was Tyrese Haliburton really the most overrated player in the NBA? That's what the poll said. That's what the fans chanted. And for a while, that's what the narrative looked like it might become. But after this playoff run, it's hard to even say that with a straight face. Because when the stakes were highest, when the lights were the brightest, Haliburton didn't shrink. He rose. He took the weight of the criticism, the noise, the doubt, and turned it into fuel. He didn't just prove he belonged on this stage. He owned it. Game after game, assist after assist, clutch shot after clutch shot, he rewrote the story they tried to write for him. And maybe that's the real twist here. Maybe Tyrese Haliburton was never overrated. Maybe he was just underestimated, misunderstood. Because what we just witnessed wasn't luck or a fluke. It was leadership. It was poise. It was a young star announcing to the league, you can question me, but you can't ignore me. So now the question isn't whether Haliburton deserves the spotlight. It's how far he's going to take it. And if you think he's earned a lot more respect than he's been given, go ahead and hit that like button. Drop a comment and let us know. Is this the beginning of something legendary, or is Haliburton already there?